Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to what is now our third community TeacherMatic webinar, our summer one. It's been a hell of a year for us all, this is what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to be kicking off for about 40 minutes with myself and Isam, giving you some updates, some background about what's happening with TeacherMatic. I'll be showing you some of the new generators and some of the upcoming generators. And then Isam will be doing his deep dive where we'll be looking at a small number of generators in more detail and suggesting some great ideas around how you can use them in your work. We're also delighted that today we're doing the first TeacherMatic annual awards. So if you didn't clock the emails about this, I sent out a couple of emails inviting people to apply for both individual and organisational awards. We had quite a lot of applications. They've been independently judged and we will be announcing the bronze, silver and gold for this year's awards. After that, and I think the most important part of today's meeting is I'm delighted that we've got colleagues from Calderdale College, Harlow College and Kirklees College who will be talking for 10 to 15 minutes about how TeacherMatic is being used in their colleges. And I think this sort of sharing best practice and thing is a really important part of what we do as a community in TeacherMatic. And then I will be handing over to my colleague Ollie, based in Indonesia. So the wonders of the internet, we're all over the place geographically. And Ollie, who leads on our technical side of things for TeacherMatic, will be giving you some very exciting updates around some new technical initiatives and features that are coming soon. And then at the end, we'll be taking some open questions. So if you've got any burning questions or suggestions about TeacherMatic, and as I hope you know, if you've been to some of these things, the way that TeacherMatic work is that community, absolutely crucial to us. It's what it's all about. And it's the community that's very much drives what we do and has driven what our platform looks like and how it works. And so taking feedback from yourselves is absolutely crucial. And we will be asking for it a few times today. Okay, so firstly, I would like to welcome our new customers who have joined TeacherMatic since our last community webinar, which was on the 1st of March. And it's been a very, very busy 3 months for us. So I'm not possible for me to read out every single one, as you'll see. We've signed up an awful lot of new customers. But I'm just going to skim through these slides. So you see we've got colleges, universities, housing associations, some schools, some local authorities, some sixth form colleges, training providers. And something that we're very excited about is we have just signed up all of the community colleges in the state of North Carolina. And so here's a list of these community colleges. Okay, so bit of an update now in terms of generators. And I think for many of you, I hope this will be the most exciting thing that those, if you've been with us from the start of our journey, when we launched TeacherMatic just over a year and 2 or 3 months ago, we started with 18 generators. We now have 87. And the new generators very much have come from the ideas of people in our colleges, schools and universities who have come to us and said, wouldn't it be great if we had a generator that did X, Y and Z? And if it's something that we feel a lot of people will benefit from, we've also done some votes, we've taken suggestions, we very much listen to you, and we're growing all the time the number of generators we've got, and we're up to 87 now, and that will only increase over time. that does provide some challenges around you finding and navigating that, and Ollie later on will be talking about some things we're going to do to help you identify the generators and find the ones that you want to use the most. Okay, something I'd like to just bring to your attention, in case you're not aware, is that we can and we do build customised generators for organisations, and we've done this now for about 5 or 6 different organisations. And if you want a customised generator building and putting into TeacherMatic, and we can do that in such a way that just your organisation sees that generator, that is something that we can do. We've done a number of these so far, mainly lesson plans and schemes of work, so they match your own lesson planning and schemes of work templates. And if that's something that you are interested in, our prices start, and unless it's a particularly complicated one, we can usually do this for around £800, and just contact me, Peter at TeacherMatic.com, if you want to find out any more about that. Some further updates on generators. We've improved and increased the contextualized help. So you may notice on all the generators there's a little blue eye, and if you click on that, we've got some really well-built guidance with step-by-step guides as to how you use each generator. Now, on the whole, we think our generators are incredibly intuitive and easy to use, but it's nice to have that reassurance. If you're not sure what to do with a generator, just click on the little blue eye. We're working hard at the moment, and this is something that'll be happening over the next sort of 6 weeks, to try and make the generators more standardized and work in a more consistent way, have more consistent input boxes. And so you will see that emerging over the next 4 to 6 weeks. You may or may not have seen this screen, the Help Centre. If you go to help.teachermatic.com, that's a resource centre where we've got all of our guides for the different generators, the admin tools, how you can use them in teaching and learning, some general guidance. So do have a look at that. And there's an awful lot going on in the background around performance and the platform, and Ollie will be talking about that later. So I just want to talk a little bit shortly, and I'm going to come off the PowerPoint and demonstrate these, some of the new generators. And there are lots of them, and if I was going to show you all of the new generators, that's all that we would be doing in this session. And we've now got nearly 90. Do, when you've got time, and hopefully TeacherMatic gives you more time, if there's generators on there you've not had a look, see what they do. You might be surprised, and you might find one that just looks, maybe I'm not sure if I'll use that. You have a go, see what it does, and you might find it's something that you will use. And the little hearts, if you've not used that functionality, that's a really important functionality. If you click on the little heart, which you can see on the top left right-hand corner of each generator, that favourites them, and then they go to the top of your screen each time you log on. And you can unfavourite them as well, and they also go into your favourites folder, so you can click and see which your favourites are. And that is a very good way for you to make sure that the ones you use most appear at the top. I'm just going to talk about now and show some of my favourite generators, which are, we've recently updated and improved the lesson plan. We've got a YouTube-based content generator, which you haven't had a look at, I think is amazing and incredibly useful. We've got another generator called Project Ideas, which gives you all sorts of ideas for things that you can do on different topics. And the last one I'm going to show you is one that at the moment we call One Big Question, but that's just a holding name. And we want to come up with a better name for this. And so if any of you, once you've seen it, have any ideas for what we could call this generator, do let me know. Now, this one isn't live yet, but it will be soon. Okay, so I'm just going to come out of my PowerPoint and go into... Okay, Esam, could you just reassure me that you can see that?
We can see your web browser with the TeacherMatic interface.
Perfect, that's what we should be seeing. Very reassuring. Okay, so the familiar TeacherMatic interface, and I'm going to show you a number of new generators. And the first one I'm going to show you is a lesson plan generator. And you see now we have two lesson plans. So we've got the new one, and we've marked here it's in beta. When we first launched something, we are now going to sometimes put beta on them to say just you know, there might be one or two sort of things that we still need to improve on this, and if you do find any issues, do let us know, the ones in beta, and in fact with any generator. This is the original lesson plan, and you see we're now calling that the legacy version, and we're leaving that on there because if we removed it, if you've saved any lesson plans, those would then disappear. So this is the one I'm going to show you now, the new generator. The lesson plan is one of our most used generators. We've had a lot of feedback, ideas from people as to how we can improve this generator. We've listened to that feedback and we've built it in. I think what it does now is fantastic. So a lot of it you'll see is familiar. You've got the lesson title. So in this case, I put the structure and function of an animal cell, the time of the lesson, and you can put in whatever you want, the skills to focus on. So here we pre-populated numeracy, literacy, digital, and you can also, if you click on other, you can specify another particular skill. If you want to focus on some generic curricular skills, you pop that in there. The learning needs is as before, where you can specify what particular learning needs you've got in that class. And this is the clever stuff we've added. Now, originally, we were first asked to include Bloom's taxonomy, and so we built Bloom's taxonomy into the lesson plan generator. But over time, a number of organisations have said to us, we don't use Bloom's, we use Solo, we use Rosenshines, or we don't use a specific model. So it now means what you can do here is you can choose your preferred pedagogical model. So here I've chosen the Solo model, but I could have chosen the revised, updated Bloom's taxonomy or Rosenshine's instructional principles. And if any of you use a different pedagogical model in your school, college or university that you would like to add to that, do let us know. And as long as it's technically doable, we will certainly put that on our list. And you see, when I selected the Solo model, I've got some further options here as to, and I chose there the multistructural. I can also choose what sector. So I've chosen further education. And then here's the lesson plan that it outputs. And we just sort of improved the structuring of this now. So you got your learning objectives differentiation as before, but it's separated out the different additional learning needs, and it's put the lesson into a tighter table with the minutes, the content, and the resources that you will need, and then finished with the how you would apply the Solo model and the multistructural level. And as before, you can export that as a Word and PDF document. So I think that's a really good improvement, and I hope you all like that. The next one is the YouTube-based content generator. What this one does, we worked out how to build YouTube video links into our generators through the multiple choice generators. We were asked a while ago if we could put the option to put a multiple choice YouTube video into a multiple choice question generator, so you can generate multiple choice questions around the script in a YouTube video. And as you probably know, that's been up and running now for a couple of months. And we've also built this generator, which does a number of different things. So here you find a YouTube video. Again, I'm taking the sort of cell structure as my topic for today. So I put that video in there. And then I've got a choice of required output. So the one I've chosen is a 60-minute lesson plan. Again, I can choose what my learners are for that. And that's produced a lesson plan built around that YouTube video, where that YouTube video is a part of the lesson. And I think how useful this is now. In a previous job I did, I was head of A levels in a college, so I used to dread the 8 o'clock phone call with the croaky voice. I'm not feeling very well today, sort of thing, and then you've got to get that lesson covered at 9 o'clock. Amazingly useful thing. So even if you don't have a specialist available to cover that lesson, this can give you, build very quickly a simple lesson. If you say, well, if you could send, that teacher's board, if you've got a suggested video, or we can just find one ourselves, that can be used in that situation. Or just, if you've got your favourite videos, you can build all sorts of resources around them. So not just lesson plans, it can build a quiz, a 30-minute lesson, you can do a summary of the video, it can build a workshop around that, a worksheet around that video, or it can give you 5 different ideas for projects. So if you've not used that generator before, have a go. It's a really, really nice one. Okay, the next one I'm going to show you is the project ideas. And again, this one is a live one, very simple one, and one that you might have just, you may have used, or you might just think, oh, I'm not doing a project at the moment. But what this does is it gives you ideas for things that you can do. It's a bit like the learning activities one, but gives you a lot more ideas, and for sort of longer projects than a short class-based activity. And so say, you give it a topic, you say how many ideas you want, you can put in a URL if you want, you've got the complexity slider. And so I put in understanding cell structures, and it's given me 10 different ideas: create a 3D model, compare and contrast plant and animal cells, develop an interactive multimedia presentation on various cell organelles, investigate the role of mitochondria in cell metabolism. Now, I used to teach this topic. I think that's fantastic. Those are fantastic ideas and can really help, freshen up that lesson that you maybe have been teaching for a number of years, and could do with updating. Okay, the next one I'm going to show you is, this is what we're calling at the moment the big question. And this is not available yet. It's still in development. We're still working on it. I can't say exactly when it will become available, but hopefully in the next few weeks. This is quite a complicated one, but really clever in what it does. And we've been working with University of Canterbury on this particular generator, and it links to a learning model that their teacher training department has been working with schools, called the epistemic wheel. Knowledge is what that means. But before that was a bit of a mouthful, so we've gone to the big question to call it this at the moment, but we're still not sure if that's the best name. And so what this does is, say, for example, you're teaching on a BTEC level 3 course. So this is, in a past life, I used to teach on the level 3 health and social care course. And say you're the course manager on that, and you want him to have a theme that runs across all of the units. If you put in your unit names here, and then you give it a theme, and in this case I'm putting supporting older clients, and you click on generate, what this does, it gives you this wheel where it looks at each of the different units and tells you how to approach that from the sociological perspective, from the psychological perspective. And I think that's a really powerful tool. And I remember, when I was a course team leader, that kind of approach of trying to have a theme that runs across a number of subjects. And so the next screen I've done is, how you might do that with A levels. So say take a generic topic like free will and determinism, and put in a number of A-level subjects there. And you see then this gives me the wheel where I can look at how I could approach that in psychology. So how I can approach that in sociology, in theology, in computer science, in art, in philosophy, even in geography. So I think that's a really, really interesting new generator that we're working on. And it looks really nice as well, I think. You can view it in a text format as well. Okay, so there's some upcoming and some new stuff that you might want to have a bit of a look at. Presentation. And I would like to invite my colleague Isam now to do his deep dive.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Peter. Some exciting updates there. And thank you everyone for joining this session. It's so exciting to see so many people from so many organizations come together, and hopefully we can learn from each other's practice. So for those that don't know me, my name is Isam, and basically I run these deep dive Wednesdays. We had the last one last month. So starting September, it'll be the first Wednesday of each month. And I do these deep dives where I go into a generator and maybe show you some things that might be hidden or some tips and tricks. Considering, by the way, I was a lecturer in FE for over 20 years. So with that being said, let me show you some really quick wins here. So the first thing I want to show you is Ask the Expert. So I'm just going to type ask in the chat box. It'll come up with all the generators that have the word ask in the title. I'm going to click on Ask an Expert. And the reason I'm going to do this is because as teachers and lecturers, we have an expectation to embed numeracy and literacy in our subjects. And where, literacy and numeracy is not our strong specialism, we find it quite challenging to embed that in other subjects. So a really nice idea is you can ask the expert. So I'm going to use one of my most favorite shortcuts, which is the Windows H. It'll pull out the dictation. And I want to hear from a maths expert in teaching and learning. Right, so I've given it the role. The role I want to see is a maths expert in teaching and learning. And now, if you have any suggestions, do put them in the chat pane. And you can give me some really weird topics if you like. How are we going to embed numeracy in the said subject? So if you give me some suggestions, and if you don't, I'll just make something up. Okay, that's a good one. Martin, anything in particular? Okay, we'll just do sports. How do I embed numeracy in a sports lesson? There we go. And as easy as that, you can give it any subject you want, and you just click generate. And this is what AI excels at. I'll zoom in when it's done. There we go. Give you a few minutes to read that or less. So data and statistics from sports events into the lesson. Obviously, if we were more specific, it'd give us better context. Right, so when you are delivering your lessons and you need to embed that numeracy or the literacy, do ask the expert to do that. Give it this role. And basically, you can actually say, maths and literacy expert in teaching and learning, and then just do literacy and numeracy, and it will combine both. Okay, so that's Ask the Expert. The next one I want to show you, and I'm sure some of you will know this, but just in case you don't, the multiple choice questions, and I know many of you are using Teams for Education, and you may not know this, or you may, so I'll just do it anyway. So with this one, I'm just going to zoom out so you can see the screen. I'm going to put, do I have an example? Yes, I'm going to put this in there. Of course, we can point it to a YouTube video. Everyone knows, I'm sure, how to do that. We're going to put 10 questions. Don't forget this complexity slider. This is very, very powerful in that you can target the different abilities within your class. Or, for example, you might be teaching a subject on level 3 and a similar subject on level 2. So you might want to use this complexity slider to produce differentiated questions based on the level or the ability. So don't forget about that. Really, really powerful, this. So as easy as that, I'm just going to point it to this YouTube video. If you want to know what the YouTube video is, it's a really good video about Bayesian algorithms. And as easy as that, we just click on generate. It will generate. And then what I'm going to show you, just in case you haven't seen it, considering we have so many people here, we're going to export this into Microsoft Forms and do some additional things in Microsoft Form. Because it reads through the transcript, it takes a few seconds, then just put in keywords in there. So once it's done, and of course, we ask the teachers to critically evaluate the output, ensure everything is correct, and then we just export this to a Word document, click on Save As, we'll go to our folder and save it in there, and as easy as that. Now, what we do is we open up Forms, and for those that haven't seen this, there's a really useful feature called Quick Imports, right? So the Quick Import allows you to import Word or PDF documents. So we'll click in on Upload from Device, navigate to our document, and just click on Quiz. And this normally takes 5 seconds to actually create this quiz. Right, there you go, start review, and you literally have a quiz that you can use in a variety of ways. Obviously, you can use it as a starter activity, as mini plenaries, or as a final plenary in the class to see if learning has taken place. We're going to take this one step further. We're going to click here, we're going to insert a new question, and we're going to go to text. And I'm going to use my shortcut again. Summarize this video in 200 words. Right, so we've got a question here, and I want the students to summarize this video. We're going to make it a long answer so they can type lots of things in there. We're going to push this question to the top. Then what we're going to do is we'll click on this icon, and it will allow us to insert a video. So we're going to click on Insert Video, and in here, I'm going to paste my video. If you're wondering what shortcut I'm using, it's a wonderful, it's not the Control V, it's the Windows V. It's a game changer of a shortcut. I'm going to click in here and add that. And as easy as that, what we have is we have the video, we'll have the students to summarize the video, and we have the quiz related to that particular video. And now what we can do is we can assign this as an assignment in Microsoft Teams, so it becomes a flipped classroom activity. You'd give this out to your students, let them watch it, let them summarize it, let them complete the question, and when they come into the class, then you can have a starter activity related to this flipped classroom activity here. So that's the multiple choice questions, in just in case you haven't seen that before. And then the next one I'm going to show you is the glossary. I think the glossary one is such a versatile tool that you can do many, many things with it. So I'm going to click on glossary. Let's do, shall we do the same thing as, let's stick with the same subject. Okay, 10 questions. Just like the other generators, including the rubrics and the schemes of work, you have the ability to control the output by putting in the terms here. So what I would do in this case is I would get the awarding body specification. For example, Unit 3, Unit 1, there was so much terminology. I would copy these terms, because if we don't put these terms in here, I'll give you an example 1. And then press enter. If we put in the terms, the output will include those terms. Okay, so here's a little trick that Richard, who's on the meeting today, showed me. You can put words in here. So I'll just say example 1, put a comma, example 2, comma, example 3, and then you press enter, and then it all gets inserted like that. But for this example, I'm just going to put these two, actually, I'm going to put artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence. Okay, and we'll create a glossary based on those 2 keywords. And as easy as that, we're going to click on generate. All right, so it's going to generate a glossary in a table. You do, of course, have the ability to export that as a copy and paste it into a web page if you use VLEs, or literally you can copy and paste it into a web page and it'll have the same format. But what we're going to do now is we're going to export this to a CSV file, a PDF, and a Word, and I'll show you why. So the first one is a CSV file. Save. The next one is going to be a PDF. And the third one is going to be a Word document. There we go. So the first one I want to show you is probably the Word document, because I think this could be such a fantastic exercise for so many, in so many ways. So what you could do with this is you can create flashcards from it. So if I just go to layout and change the landscape and then just expand this table here so it fits the whole screen, and then I might even give it a background color, and I can change the font and do all sorts of things, maybe expand it to both. So what you could do with this is you can print it out and then laminate it. And essentially what you're going to do, and I'll show you a little video so you can just visualize what this looks like, is that basically you can, in Word, you're going to just print it out, cut it out, but of course you laminate it before. And this could be a fantastic seating arrangement activity where each student comes into the class. You give one student the term and then the following student the definition. So they're going to have to find each other, and then that could be a seating arrangement. It could be something you do as a plenary at the end of the class where each student has to get up and say the term, and then whoever has the definition has to get up and do that. So you can see how you can bring some of the outputs into your class. It's not all just digital. It prints out really, really well. So that's how you can use the Word document. So what we did is we also exported it as a CSV file. And when you export it as a CSV file, you're able to export to many, many platforms. One that's really popular is called Brainscape. And Brainscape allows you to create flashcards that your students can practice online. And you can invite them and you can see all that stats and the data of how much they know the terms. So I'll give you a quick example. I'm already logged in to Brainscape. I'm going to click on a new class. Right, I'm going to say web demo here. And what we do is we create a new class. Hope that's all right. I've never seen it act that slow. Okay, there we go, finally. All right, and as easy as that, I'm just going to have to click on some options. And as easy as that, what we do then, it is acting very slow, by the way. We're going to import that CSV file that we exported, navigate to our file. There it is, double click. But what I would suggest is that you open up this file in Excel, and what you would do is you would delete the first row. And the reason is because obviously you don't want the students to practice the words term and definition. Save that, Control S, come back in here, make sure that we just refresh this page, and then double click. And as easy as that, in literally seconds, you've imported these flashcards inside here. We can click on play, and your students can now practice all of these words. Once they think they know it, they reveal the answer. And if they think they know it perfectly, they'll click on 5. And then on the left-hand side, you've got this confidence gain gauge here. And then you'll get all that data and analytics about how much your students know about these terminologies. So we're going to take this a step further with the glossary. And what we're going to do is we are actually going back to one of our most favorite generators, the multiple choice questions generator. So over here, I'm just going to put artificial intelligence. So I'm putting the same titles I used to create the glossary. I'm going to upload the file, and the file that I'm going to upload is the artificial intelligence PDF. I'm going to double click on there. I'm going to make this 10 questions. And as easy as that, we're going to generate a quiz based on that glossary. So you can see how powerful that is, where you can print out the glossary, have it as flashcards, right? Go to Brainscape, and then also now create a quiz based on that glossary that you've created. And because you have that PDF, if you go into your team's website, and of course, not just Teams, Google Classrooms, VLEs, it's the same principle. So what you would do here is, for example, we have Unit 2 here. You're going to go to your files area, and essentially what you're going to do is you're going to upload that PDF. So there's the PDF here, artificial intelligence. And once it's uploaded to Teams, you're going to click on those 3 dots, and you're going to make this a tab. And essentially, you're creating a tab here. So if I just rename that and just call that glossary because it's related to that channel, you have now a permanent glossary that your students can always refer to when you mention some of these keywords there. Okay, so that's really what I wanted to show you. And these are some of the things that I do go over in the deep dives every Wednesday that we hope that we start come September. All right, thank you very much. Peter?
Thank you, Esam. That was just amazing. I mean, it's like watching a great musician performing, watching Esam.
You're too kind, Peter. You're too kind. Thank you.
Of the tools that we've got in TeacherMatic. So yeah, that was fantastic. Okay, so I've got a little bit more to share now.
Can I just yeah, so while you're sharing your screen, I think that's such a great idea. By the way, the text is so small on the chat pane. Is that Christy? Because I can't even read that. Shows my age. But I think that's such a wonderful idea. And I'm going to come and follow that up, actually. All right. So it's not just me, but other users. Really, really good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm very aware. There's so many questions coming through. We're not able to answer them all. We'll try and get back to them. And if your question is missed, you can always email us, and we'll answer your questions then. So big thanks, Esam. So just a few more sort of updates from myself before I hand on to the colleges. Well, we got the award ceremony as well. So a bit about TeacherMatic. Someone asked me a while ago, where did the idea come from? Well, I can say where I was when the idea came. It was the very unglamorous Frankly service station on the M5 just south of Birmingham, and that's where physically I was when the TeacherMatic idea sort of came together. And it was a group Teams conversation with myself and these 3 other chaps, Jeff, Ollie and Esam, where we were discussing ChatGPT and what an amazing tool it was, but how prompt engineering was probably too difficult for a lot of teachers to really get their hands around. And so that's on that conversation, that's where the genesis of the idea for TeacherMatic came from it was a hot day in July, and I was on Frankly service station. So that's where it all started, and it's been a hell of a journey since then. You know, it's basically that was just around 2 years ago, just under 2 years ago. We started developing it in September. We launched it in April, actually I should say 2023, sorry. And since then, we're nearly at 30,000 users, and we've got 253 organisations using TeacherMatic, both UK and international. And as you may be aware, from March, we went into partnership with Avalane, who acquired TeacherMatic. It's been a very, very positive experience for us. So you can see this as the core TeacherMatic team with the senior leadership team of Avalane. Avalane are a mid-sized ed tech company based in Switzerland that have been working since the late 1990s or mid-1990s. And they've really brought an awful lot to the table for us. That TeacherMatic grew very quickly. And for the four of us to keep running this, we definitely needed some extra support. And the professionalism and the knowledge and the skills within the Avalane team, over 100 staff with great skills around technical skills, marketing skills, finance skills, have proved to be incredibly useful for them. And I think in terms of us continuing to grow and continuing to develop, this was a very good decision for us. It's still very much the core TeacherMatic team sort of leading this, but with a hell of a lot of support behind us. And something really important that Avalane are doing with us that I wanted to flag up is that a project around the ethical and pedagogical use of artificial intelligence. And they brought in two internationally known experts, Rose Luckin, who's Professor of Learner-Centered Design at UCL Knowledge Lab, and John Traxler, who's Professor of Digital Learning at University of Wolverhampton, who are doing a lot of work around ethics and AI, and we'll be telling you more about this later on. And I think this will prove to be a very useful resource for you all. And obviously the ethical side of how AI is used is very important. And I also want to welcome a couple of, we've had a number of new staff. In fact, Avalane, for example, have recently paid for another developer for us. But two staff who you may come into contact with yourselves over in the future, one of whom I hope some of you will already know. You want to maybe do a thumbs up if this chap is familiar to you. Reza Masavian. I've known Reza for a number of years. In the FE community, where he's been head of digital at Coventry and Solihull colleges and worked at Tribal for the last few years, and he's recently joined the TeacherMatic team, and also Tim, who's got a long experience in ed tech, and again he's joined our team recently, and they'll be working close with us on business development, on partnerships, on supporting yourself. So you may see them out around and about under the TeacherMatic banner. Okay, I'm now going to move forwards to the awards, the first annual TeacherMatic Awards, I hope, I know, having spoken to something, not everyone clocked this in my emails, but I sent out a couple of emails asking people to apply for both the individual and the organisational TeacherMatic Awards. We did have a lot of applicants, and these were independently judged. So if you didn't win, it wasn't my fault. We had these independently judged and scored. And I'm proud now and pleased to announce firstly the individual awards, and the bronze winner from Barnet and Southgate College is Daniel Apostu. Daniel, if you're in the room, sort of give us a thumbs up or something. Congratulations. Daniel will be getting a £20 Amazon voucher and 10 extra licenses for his college. Winning the Silver Award, and congratulations to Sarah O'Connell from Bradford College, and she will be getting a £50 Amazon voucher and 20 additional licenses. Apologies, that's spelled wrong. That was what was on the form. so for Daniel. And finally, drum roll, the gold winner of the individual award is Chris Handley from Sybil Andrews Academy, a school user of TeacherMatic. Chris, are you in the room? I think I just saw a brief wave there, so congratulations to you there for that. And you will be winning a trophy, a £100 Amazon voucher, and your school will be receiving 50 TeacherMatic licenses. Moving on now to the organisational awards. The bronze winner is Wirral Metropolitan College, who will be receiving 10 additional awards. The silver, sorry, 10 additional licenses. The silver award winner is the Weymouth College on the south coast down there. So congratulations to Weymouth College. And in fact, the south coast has done very well here. 50 miles or so, maybe 60 miles or so to the west from Weymouth College, we have City College, Plymouth. I don't know if there's anybody good. They have won the gold award and will be getting 50 awards. The criteria, there was a form to fill in with a number of questions on the form, and our judges judged the answers to those forms as how the awards were judged. So congratulations to all of our winners there, and some amazingly good practice there. And I hope we get a lot more applications next year. I know that there's plenty of colleges and schools doing some fantastic stuff who perhaps didn't clock these awards were going on, so I hope we get a lot more. I'm now actually going to move on swiftly. We will take questions at the end to Paul from Calderdale College. So if you want to share your screen, Paul. So Christian Waterworth, who's going to talk about how TeacherMatic is being used at Calderdale College.
Thank you so much, Peter. That's been really enjoyable to go through so far, and I'm really excited about some of the new generators that are being brought in very soon. It's really just great to see how much it's grown as an application over the last year. And we are really proud as a college at Calderdale to be involved with TeacherMatic, to have them as a partner using the resources that TeacherMatic can offer to help our staff save their time and reduce their workloads. So the first question I suppose it's really good to ask at this point is, why would we have chosen TeacherMatic? Why was TeacherMatic the choice we went with as a college? Many of you are going through this story right now. Many of you have gone through the story previously as well, where you've looked at all the AIs that are out there. And indeed, we have the same story over the last couple of years since ChatGPT-3 came in. There have been literally thousands of wraparound applications, so many different tools doing so many wonderful things to build your presentations for you, things to amalgamate research resources, all kinds of amazing things, so much out there. But it was made it so much more complex to then say, what actually is the tool that we should get as a college? What can our staff use? What's going to give our staff the best results from this, the best success as a tool? And what do our staff really need as a college? So the phrase one-stop shop, which is very cliched, I can't really stand it, but it does ring really true about TeacherMatic. And so the reason why our leadership team felt that this was the right solution for us, because it's what we'd call a wraparound solution using the large language model of ChatGPT to then give people that simple prompting to encourage accessibility for the less tech savvy staff. And I'm sure we've all been there. You want to work with staff, you want to try and introduce them to new things like AI generation, and they'll say, I'm just not tech savvy, I can't do these things. But as you've just seen from the demos there, so easy to use TeacherMatic, so easy to get into, just putting your prompts in, and then all of the modeling behind that is done for you automatically. Staff don't need to get that level of AI language modeling to be able to do all these amazing things. It's done for them. And as we've said, so many generators, over 80 generators, everyone will find at least one thing that suits them. And that's what we really want, was that individualized approach. So each member of staff could find something. Out of all those generators, there must be something every member of staff in our college could pick up and say, this will be useful for me, for my learners, for the way I work. Of course, alongside that, tools on there for business administrative teams as well, like the quality teams, for our marketing teams, for our leadership management. It became easy for the product to sell itself when we were looking at pitching it to our executive and to our leadership team. And it fits in very well with my personal mantra of save time and reduce workload. As a digital specialist working in further education in the UK, one of the things I really always want to emphasize is looking at how do we save our teaching staff time, how do we reduce their workloads, and AI is a great equalizer for so many people, so I'm really excited to get involved. Super quick timeline of what we've been up to, how things have worked. Back in 2023, I ran a training day, so this was just before we got TeacherMatic in. And I presented lots of different tools. Now, again, you've probably seen many of them out there. Very impressive tools, all seeing people's jaws drop as we were looking at them, people being really impressed as all these tools and resources were being generated for them, lesson plans, PowerPoints, all these amazing things out there. But it was difficult then when a member of staff posed the question of, do we get a license for any of these? And that was the difficult part of how do we pick that out? But our executive team visited the conference, met Peter, and they decided that TeacherMatic would be the solution. They were really excited to get involved and be invested. We started to then pitch it out to everyone, to our senior leadership team to see the benefits and to let them to go have a play. It's a term, again, that really makes me cringe as the term have a play, because I feel it often usually gets attached to a teacher saying, I will when I get time. I'll have a go when I have time. And then that might be 6 months later. But it meant that our team leaders could see the benefits and start to feel that bit of investment themselves. And we decided to go all in with it, and we got 200 staff licenses to get going. So the price we thought was reasonable, the amount of potential from it was there, and so we felt this would be the most ideal tool for getting our staff on that route of digital empowerment, getting them ready to take on new resources, more personalised resources for the learners, using the tools available within TeacherMatic. So a few quick fire case studies, and then I'll jump into the one I specifically want to talk about today and how it's really empowered our teams. So starting off with Project Surge. Project Surge is a team of 3 people based in the Royal Hospital of Halifax. Just 3, none of them tech people either, none of them good with computers. I've had to go down and have lots of meetings with them about how to get our computers to work on the NHS's Royal Hospital systems and how to get the students to better interact. They work with entry-level students, so these are students working at entry level and level 1, very low level learners, many of them with EHCPs or what we'd call healthcare plans. So that means there's other things going on that need to be considered in their education as well. That might be learning difficulties or healthcare issues that need to be taken into consideration. Very challenging learners, very difficult to individualize learning for them. And the staff were very unconfident in experimenting, feeling like they didn't have the time. In particular, having just simply shown them TeacherMatic, got them a few of our licenses. The 2 that really got there, as you saw from the fantastic demo earlier, quiz creation, and then being able to import that out into so many different formats, including Kahoot, and there are loads of other formats on there, depending on what your platforms are, the ones you like to use, things like quizzes and going over to, say, Google Forms as well. Just having Microsoft Word documents that you can print off to hand out to learners were an option as well. And they particularly liked reference writing as well as a really powerful new generator to work with the students to help support them in getting those employability skills that they really wanted to work. So for many of these staff, this product it really sold it to them just by letting them try some of the different generators. And a lot of that stemmed from that first generator, which is an absolutely genius move of how can TeacherMatic help you as well. So they could just put in what they wanted and it would tell them, here's what it can do for you as that specific individual. And that's where AI has to have its real empowering with the staff at your individual organizations. How does it empower the individual? What do they want to use it for? How are they going to make it work for them? A couple of other quick examples, very similar, Project Challenge. So Youth Charity develops bespoke full and part-time study programs with a heavy focus on employability at level 1. It's an out centre to our college, so it's very much, it feels like an us and them sort of culture there where they have their own little team, but they are still part of our college, but it's very difficult for them to get involved. And again, looking at some of the functions that are on there to help their team developing new lesson plans and schemes of work for standardising for next year, preparing themselves going forward, but being able to just do things so quickly. If someone was ill, they could get things to move around. Staff turnover was quite high at the start of the year, but by introducing the TeacherMatic, people were able to start doing more lesson planning schemes of work with them. The particular one, as you've just seen there as well, the quiz feature with YouTube, they absolutely love that for doing demonstrations of employability skills, combining it with the quiz feature, and then being able to present that through either Kahoot, Microsoft Forms for the learners to complete as homework as well. So they were really getting invested in the flipped learning approach that flipped learning of complete a task first, then move into the classroom with that task. So it was really exciting for the learners as well to experiment with these new things, and for the staff to just try and take resources they've used before, but get the learners to watch them, and then know the learners have actually watched them and absorbed the information because they've completed a quiz to show their understanding at the same time. Final quickfire case study, our teacher training team, so our student teachers. When I was considering those 200 licenses and who we would give them to in the college, who would get them, one thing I hadn't initially considered, but it just came to me as an idea when I went to talk to the student teachers about AI in education, about the ethics of AI, about the parameters, what's right and wrong of AI. I considered, well, why can't the student teachers explore using AI as a tool to help them prepare their lessons and support their work? And it was such a wonderful experience to meet with those learners, to share different tools with them, and to give them licenses so that they could then work with TeacherMatic as well. The first question I always remember them saying was to speak to their lecturer to say, are we allowed to use this? Because there's almost a fear, and I think that's something that will come up a lot at your organisation as well, this culture of, is AI cheating? Are we allowed to actually use AI? Are we allowed to have these tools that will actually help us to make resources? And well, yes. Of course you can use it to help you make resources. The catch will always be if you don't then check the resources, don't review the resources, make sure they are suited specifically for your learners and designed around the needs of those individuals in your classroom as well. Prior to them getting this access to TeacherMatic, they'd already had a term's worth of training in planning, for lesson planning, resource development, all kinds of different theories built into that. So I already had that solid foundation, and that's a practice really you can take across to students as well if they're going to use AI to assist them with their work in the many ways that AI can assist them with their work. If they have that theory and underpinning knowledge of how to use the AI effectively to make sure that it is actually going to be a powerful tool and that resources are correct, accurate, then it will be the best assistant they will ever have. The case studies we got from that, as you can see there, case study for developing a solid foundation of knowledge. Prior to offering automation tools, allow them to review that generated content and develop it further. So while some staff may fear AI as a great replacer as well, they may say that AI will take our jobs, it's actually looking more at how we use the AI to enhance the job, to save them time, reduce their workload, to get them to realize that actually if they have that knowledge base, the AI is there to help. It's there to make things more powerful, to make their resources quicker, but they then know if the AI is giving them the correct information and how to modify it to suit their personal learners' needs because they have that underpinning knowledge. So just keep my eye on the time as well, because I realize I am going through very quickly, but I am happy to take questions at the end as well. My main section I was really interested in as a great case study for how we've used it this year was adult and general education. So our adult and general education faculty comprises of our English courses, our mathematics courses, our English for speakers of other language courses, and some other smaller courses as well. And what we found this year was that we had a new management structure. They had a new head of faculty, 2 new assistant curriculum heads as well. And what they were really wanting to look for was to improve consistency of resources across all the different levels. They offered entry level up to level 2 in GCSE, in English and Maths, as well as the ESOL students having their different courses of study. And it was considering how do we make it sure that everyone is teaching from the same set of resources with the same lesson plan, so students are equally treated in those classrooms, so they have those resources and can work with them. And TeacherMatic was the great tool for helping them to build those resources and rebuild those resources as well. The files would be organised using SharePoint with weekly subfolders for all the different curriculums that we're going to run and schemes of work, and standardising with support of 2 digital champions for the area for English and Maths who would support the team and work with AI prompting to teach people and train them further in the use of TeacherMatic if they were uncertain. The results were really positive from doing this. The audits that we initially went in with, and the reason why we justified this was that there was a lack of digital formative assessments, and I'm sure you've all heard the same story from your staff. We need more online assessments, we need more evidence of learning to be put into these different formats, and your staff will say, I simply don't have the time. But you've just seen how quickly you can build a quiz, make it so powerful, add new features, it takes seconds. There is time. Start building more formative assessments. You can do it in class whilst the students are working. 3 minutes, you've made it a quiz completely. So now the staff are using that to create worksheets and quizzes for their weekly sessions, so they always have their assessments available formatively for each week. quotes that I got from the staff as informal feedback included taking video content and building resources around it, not just quizzes, but full lesson plans and worksheets and all kinds of other resources as well. That's a fantastic generator to check out, where you can take the YouTube video and, yes, not only make quizzes, but make all kinds of amazing other resources from that same video as well. I really like that we could take a resource and adjust the difficulty, so it could be used at different levels. So once they have the subject and they're given the right prompts to TeacherMatic and they were happy with that, that slider that we saw earlier as well, really great for adjusting the difficulty to make it suit different levels of learning, to really test those learners and to be able to push our learners a bit further as well. So if they were finding the work too easy at one difficulty level, it was just a quick slide change to get the next difficulty level up, to really get that learner to push themselves, stretch themselves, test their knowledge. A few more quick points as well. We can take exported documents, drop them straight into SharePoint. Indeed, the outputs will go into conventional formats like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and can just go straight into the SharePoint for further collaboration by all the teaching staff who are involved. One of the things I really enjoyed was about getting staff to find these digital mediums, like using quizzes on Microsoft Forms. Using TeacherMatic made it so much easier for them to get that accessibility. They were daunted by it. Something like making a quiz was too much for them. It really scared them to try and build that. But having that platform to work with, having TeacherMatic to build the questions, the right questions, giving them wrong answers as well to work with, made it so much easier and made the whole process so much quicker. And now they're natural at it and they're encouraging others to do the same. And the final one there, yes. It felt so daunting when you're thinking about a 48-week course, trying to pull everything together, getting every resource standardized, getting something that's agreeable for all the staff was quite a big ask, but TeacherMatic saved so much time in doing that. Before I do finish off, the last thing I will mention, when it comes to that licensing, one of the things that we did to make sure that as we were working through, we had to ensure that the staff and the managers were held accountable for the licenses that they requested. So we had 200 licenses, and we wanted to make it clear that if someone was to take, say, 40 of those licenses for their faculty area, that there had to be accountability. So it was introduced into so our managing team introduced the quality improvement plan process, and TeacherMatic would be included in that to say, okay, you've asked for 45 licenses, brilliant. What are your success criteria for those 45 licenses? What do we expect to see from those 45 licenses? So that we can make sure that it isn't just a case of, yeah, we're going to pick up some lovely new software and then we don't have to be responsible for making sure it's successful, but ensuring that as we hand out those licenses, people have their goals, they have their objectives for using it. And the adult and general education goal of having a clear process at the end of it, that they will use it as part of their tools for developing resources and develop a fully standardized curriculum for every level of English and maths, was absolutely fantastic. But that's one of the biggest takeaways I can give you from all of this. If you are investing in TeacherMatic licenses for your educational establishment, and you're going to be handing out those licenses to staff or to managers to hand out to their staff as well, ensure as they do it that you have some kind of accountability for those staff. Make sure they have a goal to achieve, whether that is a qualitative goal where you can describe some objectives and you can then clearly see it's a project that's been done. So for example, with adult and general education, I'm observing their SharePoint space now to see those resources being developed. Likewise, if it could be quantifiable, you want to see a success or an improvement in the online formative assessments. That was a good one as well, to see that there is an increase in the number of assessments happening online and to see how that goal would work. Some people might go even broader than that, quite go bold and say we want to look at engagement in our Teams platform and we want to use TeacherMatic as the medium for aiming for that and making sure that students are going online more and doing more of their work through Teams, and TeacherMatic is the tool that's helping to develop those resources, getting our students more active on Teams, because that's one of our big goals over this next academic year, is to get more staff invested in using these online tools like Teams and all the platform of Microsoft 365, and TeacherMatic is that fantastic wraparound tool that will allow them to develop resources quicker. It will allow them to refine their existing resources, and when they're in that class, use it as an additional assistive tool for making generators like debating topics and all kinds of other amazing functionality as well. So I've realized I've gone a mile a minute there because I could talk about TeacherMatic for hours, really, about all the different things we've done as a college over the last year with it, what we hope to be doing with it as we go into the new academic year. But I'd absolutely love to see if there's any questions or any thoughts in the chat, just to see what we've got there as well. So I'm just going to scroll up a little bit there, just to see what we've got. Yep, so Sophie's there. It's quick indeed and
Paul,
suitable. Yes, Peter.
I'm going to have to move. I mean, that was fantastic and so many brilliant ideas. And yeah, to get all that in that time, some really inspirational ideas. The key things moving on, if you could answer questions in the chat, that'd be useful so I can bring in the next speaker. And if you're feeling brave, you don't have to. You could even pop your email address in because you've got, I think there'll probably be quite a few people who might want to visit your college and see what you're doing because we want to do a case study on this. It's amazing what you're doing. So thank you so much for that. And if you could, if you type your questions to Paul in the chat and he will pick them up. And if I could now move on, and big thanks to Paul, to Delta from Harlow College. If you want to turn on your mic and your camera, Delta, and share your screen, and we'll move on to the next presentation.
Hi there. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me, Peter?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Good. Okay, great. Thank you. Good afternoon, and thanks for having me. And thanks, Paul, for your amazing presentation. So I'm Delta Montaigne. I'm here, work as digital manager here at Harlow College in Essex. That's based in Essex. And we've been on a very long journey for probably now about 9 years on the digital platforms and apps and utilising iPads across college with staff and obviously all students that enrol. So we're always looking at new ideas. So ChatGPT obviously came across to us, informing us the new changes, and then obviously we came across TeacherMatic. So we rolled out TeacherMatic in January 2024, and that was a success and trained over 200 staff and still doing that. We also did the FEDEC project across 6 colleges in Essex, which I'll talk to you a little bit how advanced practitioners actually took part on that and utilised TeacherMatic to train new teachers that were coming into the profession. Digital leaders, ambassadors, sometimes other colleges might call it digital champions, but that also involves students, getting them involved in what we're doing and utilising TeacherMatic. The culture and how we embrace that and utilise different members of staff that are really positive to accelerate new things such as TeacherMatic. And the power of vlogging, getting staff to vlog their experience using TeacherMatic, because it really helps me and my team to understand the feedback and what is needed, and also the student experience. So introducing you to Kelly Herbert, who's one of my colleagues I worked with many years and now has just become...
Can I just come in? What you're screen sharing at the moment is like the slide sorter view. So I'm seeing 6 slides, not a specific slide.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Okay.
So let's just make sure.
I think that might just be you, Peter.
Oh, that's okay then. You're seeing it correct, are you? How weird. Okay. Isn't Teams... So you're all seeing this fine. Ignore me then. Sorry, Delma.
Okay. No worries. So I just wanted to introduce you to my colleagues, which have been on this digital journey here at Harlow College for some time. But what the power of digital, and particularly TeacherMatic, is that they were put into roles of advanced practitioners, you know, to support new teachers, not just internally, but also externally across 6 Essex colleges. And TeacherMatic really helped them to support that in terms of accelerating and retaining new members of staff into the profession and not losing staff, which I think was really, really powerful. So I just want to show you their video. Hopefully this will work. Just a bit of vlogging that they have done about their experience utilising that as a coach and advanced practitioner. Okay, so going on to the next slide, I'm just sort of like, if other colleges are thinking about investing it on that journey, or they're particularly stalling with, you know, something like TeacherMatic and getting that across to a wider audience. I think if you get the feedback of certain staff that are embracing that and sharing that across your your college, it may reinforce the reputation and what's going on and what other people may be thinking about, but also for me to sort of analyse to see the experience that I can celebrate and award staff for their big efforts to embrace TeacherMatic and how they've supported other staff that may be questioning about their profession in education because of the overload of paperwork, planning, assessment, and the admin side. So within this, people come up to me at the college randomly and say, Delta, you've just saved me, or you've just changed everything, how I've worked. I did question about my career in in education because how difficult it can be. So I think what's really important is that we're retaining these really good skill set outside from the industry, and particularly those that come from the industry into the college or universities. You want to retain them and support them, and this has definitely helped to retain many lecturers and teachers. But some of the key things in this feedback that we get is that it allows staff to be more creative in the classroom, and also to not get swamped with trying to do admin in the classroom, because that's removed, but also spending that time with their learners to engage on what they're needing to do in the particular subjects. So my advice, try and allow lots of feedback to come in and listen to what people are saying. And then obviously lots of questions may come up I can't answer, but Peter and his team have always been really supportive on that journey with us. So other ideas, we form a digital champion community group, which is open to staff and also to students, and they come along and also see what we're doing. And when there is the big discussion about ChatGPT, it's understanding the learners, how they're using it and what other ideas are out there. But they're particularly intrigued that it's okay to use TeacherMatic in the classroom, which I'm going to explain a really good example here. But as we can utilise iPads quite freely and obviously other computer resources, it's just understanding and listening to what sort of what trends are going on at the moment, particularly if you're preparing an Ofsted inspection and the curriculum is changing. Those generators really do support, and it's good fun, and it's about getting people together, have a chat about that, and also celebrating it on social media. Obviously looking at LinkedIn, TikTok, I can see lots of things going on, and it does prompt visitors. As you can see up there, we had Tim Cook come in, who was really interested in what we were up to, utilising the iPad and different apps that we were using at the time. And that's really rewarding to get recognised through that community groups. We did a staff development day, slightly changed it a bit because we had so many staff that were engaging with TeacherMatic. We didn't want to do so much of an informal process with it. So we planted different staff in an open plan area who were able to demonstrate one generator that worked for them. And then we had a flood of about 200 staff come into this area. We were able to freely go around, shop around, and just take an idea that would help them for their teaching and learning. And after that, that just accelerated, so it didn't become so formal. And this is how you do it. It became relaxed. People brought their coffee down and were able to move around in the open plan with up to about 25 members of staff that were willing to show off how they use TeacherMatic and one of the generators that suited them. And funny enough, most of them that were there to showcase that were new teachers, and it was a different face as well. So that was really, really nice to see that working for us. Okay, I'm just going to move into the next slide. I can't actually see the screen to move into the next slide. I'll try and do this. Okay, so I know Katie and Kelly talked about the steps to success, which TeacherMatic developed that for us to tailor around how we work here at Harlow College. This is really a game changer for us in terms of preparation to get smart targets an introduction to your lesson. And what we do, we make sure our learners are really clear about the stages of their learning. So we use this generator a lot, and I just wanted to show this off, so maybe you have time to have a play with that. But we do the know, do, show and improve, which it's very clear. You just type in what the theme of the lesson would be, and then it would generate 4 steps that would show that progress with each of your learners. So know what they will know, what they will understand, and what they're going to learn, what they're actually going to do, the students in that particular session, the evidence of showing evidence, what they're going to, the outcomes would be, and then also at the end would be improvement. So it's about that learning cycle coming round, and then they would do that again into their next session. So that's been a real success here at Harlow College. And the other one is what we use a lot during tutorials is when you're doing your individual one-to-one tutorials with your learners, is having those discussions, and lots of staff are very confident to have TeacherMatic open with this generator, have that discussion with your student, what areas they can improve. And what is great about this, you can individualize it by putting more details within that box. And obviously, if it is the regular thing like attendance or meeting deadlines, but what I quite like about this is that you can add in their name and their percentage of how much they need to improve their attendance. So if it's subject related, but they're not attending a GCSE reset maths, then it's something that you can bring in to tailor the smart target. And then what we do is copy paste that into their individual learning plans, and then we can review that after a couple of weeks to see if they've made progress. But what's great about that, when it's generated the smart target, is that the learner can also see it, and the member of staff and the student can agree on that smart target. So it's not just coming from the teacher, it's also the student is also agreeing on that smart target, which obviously just takes seconds to do. So that's cut so much time off our staff. So from that point of view, I think it's about, the best advice I could suggest is about build that community group, that culture, praise your staff that are using it, meeting with the digital champions on a regular basis, listen to what they're doing, get them to also show new generators that they have explored and experimented, because I'm learning so much from other teachers across all curriculums and able to share that and pass that on. So that's our story so far. So yes, if anyone's got any questions, please put it on the chat, and I'm more than happy to advise or guide or just give you some input. So thank you.
Well,
thanks, Peter.
Thank you so much, Delta. Just another amazing presentation. I mean, the cockles of my heart are so warm seeing what yourself and Paul have done. I loved hearing about how this is impacting on staff actually staying in teaching and learning. That is amazing to hear that. We've heard that from a few colleges, and it's, that's the most important thing in many ways, to hear that it's really making a difference to people. Please do type your questions in. You probably don't know this, Delta, but only your college can see steps to success. So because you paid for it. But what I would ask you to do, if you want to talk to your colleagues, Kelly in particular, and if your college is prepared to share it with the community, we would be delighted to open it up. But you've paid for that, and so that might not be, that's a choice at your end. So if anyone can't find it, it is when we do these bespoke ones, they're only open to that college. So that was just fantastic. Please type your questions for Delta in the chat if you've got any. And Delta, if you're happy to share your email, do, but you don't have to. Yeah, and I'll now move on to Kirsty, who's our final presenter from one of our customers today. So Kirsty, if you want to share your screen and put your camera on.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Kirsty. I'm from Kirklees College, and just a bit about our journey, really, our TeacherMatic journey. So we are early adopters. We're 15 months into using the platform now, and the reason that we kind of bought into TeacherMatic is we went to the first launch, and there were one thing missing for us, and there wasn't there wasn't a generator to ask anything. There were only pre-designed generators. So we said to Peter that actually we want to open it up to people whose thinking doesn't fit inside those generators. And I think it was maybe 2 days later, Peter said, oh, we've got this now. And we're like, boom, yes, that's what we want. And then we knew it was for us because Peter was so responsive in meeting our needs, which were great. So one of our strategic aims is to raise digital curiosity. So TeacherMatic is supporting us to do that. I'm going to just tell you a bit about our backstory, cover a bit of how we're promoting buy-in, our first year results. As I said, we're 15 months in now, so I've been writing up our pilot study and just some staff reflections. So for us, it's a confidence building tool, and as Calderdale said, you don't need to be tech savvy, and that's what can win people over. Definitely, it's there to support people to build their confidence. So just going back to the moment ChatGPT were released, AI wasn't new to us at the time, but ChatGPT really did cause some uproar, didn't it? And I recall being all over that sketch, saying to all my colleagues, have you seen this? Look how amazing it is. We need to get on this. And it didn't suit everyone's needs. And although I don't really like to call it prompt engineering, because I think we add some complexities to language around AI that we don't need when we're trying to meet people where they're at, we felt some people may sit in front of ChatGPT or other large language models and think, well, what could I ask it? How could it help me? And for us, TeacherMatic provided the teacher-friendly interface, and I loved that it was created by teachers for teachers. So we felt that this was a tool to meet people where they're at. And that's why TeacherMatic, really, we want to raise curiosity. We feel like it's teacher friendly. It's a gentle introduction to AI because, as people have mentioned already, sometimes AI can be scary, and it's about building confidence, breaking down those barriers, something consistent, and that's what TeacherMatic did for us. It's a fair price, and also the response to requests has been amazing for us. So anytime I've had an issue or I've wanted something put in place, it's been done so quickly. So for that, we feel like it's amazing. And it's not a tool that needs ample training. To us, if there is an AI tool that people need constant training and updating on, then that's not the tool for us. AI speaks for itself. It should lend itself to everyone that wants to use it. So that is why TeacherMatic. So just a couple of things that have come out from our first year. I don't think I realised at the time how much AI, specifically TeacherMatic, could support staff wellbeing. And I think what we first come up against was, will it do my job for me? And I was just so gutted by that statement. And I just thought, why would we want it to? We want to keep our jobs safe. We don't want it to do, we don't want it to provide the finished product for us, but we want us to support. We wanted to support people to do that. So for me, it's like a virtual assistant. For many that use it in the college, it's like a virtual assistant. If I've got an idea going around in my head and I speak to someone at the side of me, I usually can bounce the idea about until I've got an end product. And that's what TeacherMatic is doing for us. It's just a virtual version of a friend that you can ask anything to. Also, it's supporting us to keep up with the digital curve. So innovation and curiosity is at the heart of everything we do at Kirklees. We like to think ourselves ahead of the curve, and we dove into AI head first. And we're readying our learners. We are not forcing staff to use AI, but we are definitely putting it on everyone's radar to have a good knowledge and understanding of AI, because our learners need to know this. So just a bit of an example, going back to drones, which used to be seen as toys. My son's 17 now. I remember buying him one. We did lose it in the woods and we never got it back, and it was an upsetting moment, but that's Drones now provide jobs. Drones are used in industry all over. So there were no way that we were letting AI pass us by, because it is changing jobs. It is a great skill to have on CVs, and we do need an introduction for staff, because staff need to introduce to our students. So the rollout. We had a couple of launch days for our pilot study, and there were 2 sessions that I myself run, and there were half hour each. Here's what it does. If you think that it would be useful for you, come and join the pilot study. We bought 50 at the start, and those 50 were filled up within the first 10 minutes. So it was really successful. We knew there were a want and an urge for something like this. We've continued to roll it out with staff development days. So at the start of 23, we had an AI development day. We had Dan Fitzpatrick attend. I delivered to the whole college about the use of AI in TeacherMatic, and showcased some of what other staff had done, just to try win people over, really. And similar to Harlow, we want to bring sharing to life. So we've got an online hub. It's a team space. Every teaching member of staff is on it in the college, and that's where we share the journey for TeacherMatic. So we're really trying to bring that space to life with things like how-to videos, podcasts. We provide CPD sessions in our innovation hub. We put videos on there. And flat statuses as well, but we're really trying to bring that to life. So written is okay, but we want a wealth of products on there. And one thing that we do is we celebrate. That's a heavy focus for us, is to celebrate what are you using, how are you using it, what have you got out of it. And another thing that we try kind of focus on sharing TeacherMatic results is people sharing the resources that they've created with their team, just to make everyone's life easier. So what I would say is TeacherMatic for us has really supported people to become really confident. So the first 50 people that started the pilot were not the same 50 people that ended it, because very soon TeacherMatic supported people's confidence to a wider world of AI. So they started using numerous resources and numerous tools. So I could only compare the results from the start to the mid-pilot. And here is what I found. So the colours might be slightly off, actually. I don't know if they're showing it well enough, but basically in the pre-pilot results, 37% of staff were spending 16 to 20 hours on planning, marking and resources, anything admin related to do with teaching. And when we compared it to mid-pilot, you can see that 37% shrunk to 3%, which is fantastic. The other category grew, which we'd expect to see, because that was hours below 16 to 20. That were the next category down. So for us, just seeing this, although we couldn't calculate exactly how much that time that staff member had saved, we could see that 37% were spending so long outside of the contracted hours, and then that had dramatically reduced. So we knew we were on to a winner from there. And what I tried to do is tap into HR. I had a meeting with our head of HR and said, have you got a wellbeing fund that we can tap into? Because you know what it's like, money's hard to come by in FE, and we've got to fight for everything we get. And so HR are now involved in their purchasing some from September. I also asked curriculum area managers to chip in funds so that we could have more licenses per area, and they've all been willing to chip in. So as of September, we will be buying some more, so that it wasn't just down to us. And one thing that we're really keen to do, we don't want anyone to prove what they're doing. We don't want to give anyone any extra jobs to do. We want to save people time, and we want to protect that time. They don't have to prove to us what they're doing, what they're creating, how they're using it. It's great when they do share, and we celebrate that, and a lot of people do share, but we don't want people to feel like, oh, there's going to be an additional cost to something like this. Like, if we take it, what else will they expect us to do? We're really keen on protecting people's time saved. So I'm not sure if this is the clearest picture, but just some of the feedback from our Teams Hub, where people come together and share, just people's feedback. I know Ewan at the bottom, I won't read it out to you, you'll be sick of hearing my voice shortly, but he was just saying how he uses it for debate. So he was saying that debates work really well in his classroom, but he was running out of ideas. So very quickly he could create a boatload and share it with his team to say, why don't we pick some of these, which were fantastic. And again, I won't read this out to you, but just plenary activities. These are fantastic. Just for a quick gauge to check back on learning. I work for quality improvement. Although my role is around ed tech, we use tech to improve. We use tech and digital to improve quality. So there were a real issue with effective checks on learning. So off the back of that, I would then go out into areas and offer some CPD. And as a bit of a lifeline, I would say, have you thought about using TeacherMatic to check back on learning? Think about what you wanted the learners to learn, and how have they learned it, and how are we going to capture it? So they would try lots of different generators just to see which one suited them to check back on learning. But we soon saw a whip round in the student survey, in the enjoyment in sessions and retention, once we'd gone in and offered this CPD and these quick wins for staff. And like I said, it's not always the end product, but if it gets you halfway there, you've still saved half of that time. And again, just some more notes from teachers. Ask someone famous. That's a really funny one at ours. I do recall someone saying, well, what would we ever need that for? So on the training session that I did offer, I asked Vicky Pollard what she thought of English and maths, and then that kind of won staff over. They thought it was quite humorous, and I think sometimes that's just what you've got to do. You know, people might not know how they're going to use it, so building a community of sharing soon then inspires other people to see how they could link it to their practice. And then podcasting seems to be really taking off. And some of the students didn't know what to say once they'd got in there. So staff were creating podcasting scripts or structures on there, which has gone down really well. This is Haley, one of our members of staff. She's had over 30 students create podcasting with a structure created by TeacherMatic. So that's been fantastic for us. So reflections then, we are into our second year using TeacherMatic. We will continue to use TeacherMatic, although like I said, some people are getting really confident and using a wealth of tools. We're a massive organisation, we have 6 colleges, not everyone is on that bus straight away, and I do think it will take a few years for everyone to get on that bus, so it will always be a stepping stone for us and a confidence building tool. I think what we would really like to see with TeacherMatic is a community of sharing. So what we've seen today has been absolutely fantastic. It would be great to get that from users. I know I've run a collaboration group where people come together and share how they're using AI, but there's just 22 colleges as part of that, and it would be fantastic if we could tap into the TeacherMatic community to see what's going well, and just some hints, tricks and tips really that we could share just to get more staff involved and opening up to a world of AI, I suppose. So that is me. Thank you. Thanks for having me, Peter.
Oh, thanks so much, Kirsty. That was fantastic. And I must say, when you shared that link on LinkedIn about using Vicky Pollard, I was just in hysterics, and I've been using Vicky Pollard. If you haven't done this, on the Ask Someone Famous, if you put Vicky Pollard in and ask Vicky Pollard questions, it's quite amusing, and you can bring Vicky Pollard into your classroom as well as Einstein, Freud, Marx, whatever. So it's quite amusing. Brilliant presentation, yeah, and some really good ideas. Let's have a chat about bringing your community and the TeacherMatic and working together on that. If anyone's got any questions for Kirsty, please pop them in the chat. Kirsty, if you're happy to share your email, pop that in there. And Kirsty is running her own AI group and has been for quite a long time. And I recommend reaching out to Kirsty about that. So thanks to all our presenters. If any of you still in the room would like to present at a future event, just let me know. And I'm going to move on to our last session now. My colleague Ollie Stern, who's going to update you on some really exciting technical innovations that are coming with TeacherMatic.
Hello everyone. Can you see my screen before I start?
Yeah,
everyone except Peter. Okay.
Yeah, even I can see it, Ollie.
Brilliant. Okay, so I thought we'd just cover a few features to watch out for over the coming weeks and months, address the organization challenge. By that, I mean organizing an increasing number of generators, approaching 100, and then end with a few questions. So I'm very aware of the time. Let me get straight into it. So the first thing that's really come in over the last couple of months is new language models available to us and a new way of delivering those language models. So we're switching, or we have switched to using Azure hosted OpenAI, which gives us access to the same models, but they're hosted in the UK. They are slightly faster. We've done some tests and we're saving a good couple of seconds on most generations, which is really good. And Microsoft provides certain content filtering, which guarantees, makes certain guarantees or attempts to make some guarantees as to the quality of the output. So that goes hand in hand with our ethical review process, which is still in development, and we're rolling out to generators over the coming months. We've also, through the Azure implementation, got access to language models with more tokens. So essentially that means that you can upload larger files, you can reference YouTube videos with much longer sections of dialogue, and just generally with the speed increase as well, we're just getting much better service. We've also got access, or we've put the infrastructure in place to use additional language models. None of these have been implemented yet in generators that you have access to, but we've been experimenting with things like Mistral AI. Mistral AI is open source, which is good. And apart from being a little bit verbose in its output, it produces really good quality outputs. So the next big feature, which we should see implemented in the next week or so, is Google authentication. It'll allow SSO for organizations that are using Google Workspace, and it'll make things easier for individual users as well. So for organizations that aren't using Microsoft, this will be a way to enforce SSO for your users. We've also got an Android and iOS app coming out. This is now just awaiting Google implementation be implemented onto the app, and then it'll be ready to be deployed. So it's already gone through testing, and I'm expecting it to be released in the next couple of weeks. This will make certain things like classroom activities accessible while you're actually in the classroom. And a very big part of the what we've been developing over the last couple of months, and again is fairly imminent, is what I'm calling the improvements interface, or meta generators. So this will allow you to highlight certain sections of the output So in this example, we've got a lesson plan which contains learning objectives, but you may remember, or you may have used our standalone learning objectives generator. So this will allow you in this instance to hover over the learning objectives within the lesson plan and then choose what you want to do. Do you want to edit it directly, which will allow you to type and change the text in this section? Or do you want to call the learning objectives generator? If you call the learning objective generator, that will pop up, give you all of the functionality in the lesson objectives generator. You can fine tune all of the form elements, adjust the complexity, and then when you're happy with it, you can insert that into the lesson plan. This is kind of a phase one of this particular kind of suite of functionality. In future phases, we'll be doing things like allowing you to change the elements of things like multiple choice questions. So before you export this into a file that you're going to import into your VLE, you can edit the questions, the answers within the generator itself. And then finally, cartridges. This name is just a placeholder for the time being. We're calling them cartridges, but I think we're going to review other options before we go live. But essentially, you'll have the ability to select content from certain providers, and then the outputs of your generations will be tailored to whatever's within those cartridges. It will improve the current situation, which I think many of you are in, where you're uploading the same file to a load of generators. You want to make multiple choice questions based on a lesson plan. You want to make a glossary based on that same lesson plan. With every generation, you're probably going in and uploading the same file. So this will assist with that. And in future, we'll open this up to organizations. So you can manage your own suite of files and resources which your teachers can pick from to ensure consistency of your results. And I'll pause the presentation now and just give you a quick demonstration of this functionality.
Well, if I can quickly butt in, if anyone's got any ideas for different publishers, educational publishers that you would like to see in our cartridges, if you could pop that into the chat.
Okay, so this is a very basic example. I set this up earlier today. So if we open up the lesson objectives generator, you'll see this cartridge functionality start to be added to various generators. And you can browse, and currently we only have one demo content provider with one series of content. And if this were your organization, or if this were a publisher, there'd likely be lots of series. This could be GCSE, this could be various levels of study, and within there could be content related to that subject or that area of study. So in this case, I'll just pick Year 3 vocabulary, select, and then that will shape the output that I get. So lesson objectives. Our subject can be reptiles. So this, believe it or not, has taken vocabulary that was included in our Year 3 vocabulary cartridge and applied that to this lesson plan. This is not the best example. If it was a curriculum or part of a curriculum, it will then better guide the language model on the output and what should be included. But as far as the feature goes, this is more or less how it will manifest on the platform. Okay, and just to kind of finish off with, something that's mentioned to us all the time is how we can make it easier for teachers to find the generators that they actually need. It can be quite overwhelming when you first look at the platform, and there are almost 100 generators on that all generators page. We do go through and we organize the generators to make the most popular and useful ones appear at the top. But as the useful generators grow in numbers, it's hard to ensure that users find the ones that are most appropriate for them. So we've got a strategy for this. So I'm sure many of you have seen the favorites tab to the side of your screen or when you're using TeacherMatic. That's going to become personalized, and it'll be tailored to suit your organization sector. Organization admins will have the ability to pick and choose generators, which will appear on their organization's personalized page. And then users can go in and remove generators. They can also view the entire suite of generators and add generators to their personalized page. We'll also try, in the event that the organization admin doesn't have the time to do this, to have kind of default loadouts of generators appearing on the personalized page, which are more suited to your organization, whether that's your sector or the type of organization that you are. We'll have a few default loadout options. We're also implementing a what do you want to do search function, so that users can go in and tell TeacherMatic, I want to plan for my lesson on X, and we'll then suggest the most appropriate generators for planning a lesson. That is similar to the How Can TeacherMatic Help You generator, where this kind of functionality is already available. By the way, we're just bringing that kind of front and center into the interface. Then in a later phase, we'll also have user-based organizations. So we're still debating internally and discussing how to minimize the burden on users and stop them needing to fill out a big long form, while still getting kind of an indication of what generators that they'd like to use. So if they're a school administrator or if they're working in a certain sector, we'll then ultimately give them a different default loadout if the organization admin hasn't already specified. But just to clarify, users will always have access to all the generators, and they'll have the ability to add and remove them from their personalized tab. And that's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Right. Well, any final questions? Yeah, thank you, everyone. It means so much to us that so many people turn up to these events, and we really appreciate it. I'd like to say a big thank you again to Paul, Delta, and Kirsty for their fantastic presentations. Esam's out and about, I can see there somewhere. I hope you've all found it useful. Your feedback is incredibly useful, and do email us if you've got any ideas about what TeacherMatic can do, if you want any bespoke generators built, etc. Have a great weekend, everybody, and thanks very much again. Thanks to my colleagues, and hopefully see you around and about, and if not, at the next one of these community webinars.